What's up everyone, welcome back to another episode of my updated Easter egg guide series, where we combine cheat sheets, shortcuts, and just plain logic to beat every single Easter egg in Call of Duty Zombies. Today, we are covering Ancient Evil. It's not that hard of an Easter egg, but there is one step in particular that is so frustrating to do legitimately, but thankfully, I have a great workaround to bypass that step. So if this video helps you out, be sure to drop a like, subscribe if you're new, and share this video. And with that being said, let's jump straight into the class setup. For your perks, you want to bring Dying Wish, Victorious Tortoise, Time Slip, and in your modifier slot, you want to bring Winter's Wail. If you don't want to run Winter's Wail in your modifier, feel free to replace that with Time Slip and put Stamina up in your modifier. For your elixirs, you want to bring Anywhere But Here, Temporal Gift, Arsenal Accelerator, and Equipment. Equipment is very important. If you want to run things like Perkaholic, Refreshment, and stuff like that, feel free to do so. For your specialist, you either want to bring the Scepter of Ra or the Chakrams of Vengeance. Just know before you load in, if you end up bringing the Scepter, we will be performing a glitch to make it really powerful, but it only works when the Scepter is level 1 or level 2. So if you load in with the Scepter, you won't be able to use it for the majority of the Easter egg. So if that's fine with you, then load in with the Scepter, but if you want a crutch backup, bring the Chakrams. And finally, for your equipment, you want to bring your Wraithfire. For your starting weapon, you want to bring the Strife. And for your talisman, if you want to bring one that makes it to where you never lose a perk slot, and then put your best perk in that perk slot, like Dying Wish or Winter's Wail. And finally, if you care about the story, be sure to load in as either Bruno or Shaw, as they will get a secret cutscene before the boss fight. To beat this Easter egg, you will need all 4 wonder weapons, but you want to bring either Charon or Ouranos. You're going to either want to get the Spitfire or the Damon 3XB if you can get that one from the trials, and you're going to want to get the Homunculus specifically right before the boss fight. Get to the end of round 4 and buy their store and make your way to the amphitheater. When you hear interact with the Sentinel artifact to turn on the power. When you do, the boss that you will be fighting in this map, Perseus, will spawn 3 Spartoi in the map. These enemies will temporarily collapse and eventually reform when killed by a body shot, but they will instantly die from a headshot. You can do the body shot trick up to 3 times on a single Spartoi before they can die from body shots. So for these guys, aim for the head if you just want to kill them, but if you want to save them for an Easter egg step later on, save them as the last zombie, just shoot them in the body and you'll have about 5 to 10 seconds of time without any zombies going after you. When you kill the 3 Spartoi, normal zombies will start to spawn in the map. Survive against them long enough and eventually Pegasus will appear and save you from the onslaught of zombies. When you get the white flash, grab the max ammo and you have now turned the power on in the map. Now let's get the zombie shield. Here's all the locations that I'm showing you right now. There's only 2 parts that you need to find right now, as the 3rd part we will get when unlocking Pack-a-Punch. So grab the spear and the strap, and now let's make our way to the Underworld. To do this, you need to find the golden Bridle. These can spawn in 2 different locations, so look for it and grab it when you find it. When you do, a new boss for this map, the Giganees, will spawn. Now this dude is an absolute bullet sponge, but thankfully there are 2 relatively easy ways to kill him just about every time. One is by spamming shield shots at his head, which obviously we can't do yet, so we'll do the other, which is pulling out your specialist and spamming him. Now if you're using the Scepter, this is the glitch I was talking about earlier in the video. If you spam the button to shoot it and melee at the same time, it'll do a super fast melee glitch and you can kill everything pretty fast like this. I don't know the exact controls on PC, but as I said, if you just spam your melee button and you use the shoot it, that should work. On controller, just spam both of your triggers. Just be careful using the Scepter and the Easter egg, because we will need this trick for the boss fight, and unfortunately, this glitch does not work on the level 3 Scepter. So try not to level up the Scepter unless you have to pull that out to save yourself from taking it down or something like that. But when you kill the Giganees, pick up the shield he drops and now come to the marketplace and craft the zombie shield on this table. At this point, we also have a route to the Underworld, so come down to where the Zeus perk is and you'll see Pegasus. Now, if you interact with the blue circle, he'll take you to the Underworld in a really cool cutscene. I watched it for the first time in like years the other day, and I forgot how great this cutscene was. But after the cutscene, you'll be in the Underworld, and now you have to grab 3 parts for the Pegasus Strike, which is a monkey bomb on steroids. That's the best way I can describe it. Now, of course, this is a typical Treyarch building system, so there's 3 parts around the map that you need to check for with 3-part locations each. Honestly, I probably should stop saying that because 3 locations for 3 parts is pretty much par for the course in a Treyarch map. But when you have all 3 parts, come to the Cliff Ruins area and craft the Pegasus Strike on this wooden stump. Now we need to unlock Pack-a-Punch. There are 2 cages with eagles in them. You need to use your specialist on the door to free them from the cages. One is hanging on a chain, so just shoot it down and then use the specialist on the door and that should work. When you free the birds from the cage that are in the Python Pass area, another Giganese will spawn. So just take him out like I said, spamming shield shots at his head. And here's a quick side note. If you're following my guide exactly how I'm saying it, this will be a little too hard to do, but if you wanted to, you could get one of the hands in the Underworld ready to be upgraded, and then spawn the Giganese and go through the portal to prove yourself to that god, and when you come back, the Giganese will just despawn. So if you don't feel like dealing with him and you know how to upgrade one, feel free to do that before you shoot down the cage in the Python Pass area. Now at this point, before you go back into the center of the map where the birds are, come back to where you first spawned in the Underworld and buy the Spitfire. Now go to the center and this will start a lockdown. This isn't too hard, it'll spawn some zombies, some Spartoi. It's kinda like a lockdown from Shadows of Evil, but when it's over, you'll be able to leave the Pack-a-Punch room and the teleporters will open to go back to the main part of the map. Now at this point we can start the Easter egg. To start this quest you need to light the Eternal Flame, and to do so, you need to do some trials. To do a trial, you can come to Oracle and spawn, or go to the Cliff Ruins area in the Underworld and interact with the pot to start a trial. These trials can range from staying in a certain part of the map, killing enemies in a certain part of the map, recovering health, wonder weapon kills, melee kills, equipment kills, and so on, stuff like that. Do the trial and get a reward. Now there's 4 different tiers of rewards. There's common, which is the worst, rare, legendary, and finally epic. Epic is obviously the best one. Right here I'm showing you all the possible rewards you can get from the trials, and if I'm being honest, this took way more time than I'd like to admit it did, so drop a like for my pain. To get rewards above common, just don't collect the reward and keep doing a trial. After doing enough, you will get your reward upgraded. When you get a legendary or an epic, come to the reward stand in the spawn room and accept it. Now getting back to the step itself, to light the flame you're going to need to collect 9 points per player in your game. The way this works is, there's a secret number value assigned to each reward rarity. Epic is 6, Legendary is 4, Rare is 2, and Common is half a point. So for example, in solo you'll need to accept 1 Epic and 1 Legendary to get a total of 10 points, which is above 9, obviously. So after you do that, the flame behind the reward stand will turn blue. This means you have now lighted the Eternal Flame. Here's one more example for you. On 2 players, you're going to need 18 points or 3 epic rewards to be accepted to light the Eternal Flame. This process takes a while, so while you're doing this step, we should get the wonder weapons upgraded. To get and upgrade a wonder weapon, you first need to look for a dormant hand around the map. There are 20 spawn locations in total, but thankfully they're not too hard to find. Most of them will either be covered up by a vase, or a pile of dirt or rocks or something like that. So it's kinda like unlocking Pack-a-Punch on Dead of the Night. Now you might be wondering why I'm showing you a quote with each location I show you, and that is because thankfully there's a way to find out where one is at all times, and that's thanks to the Oracle. If you go in the spawn room after you activate the Sentinel artifact, she'll give you a hint on finding the primordial weapon.
Seek the primordial weapon near the workbench of Hephaestus.
So if you can't find one, just go to the spawn room and Oracle will help you out. A quick tip I can give you also is that you can turn on the obnoxious subtitles and you can just read where she says to find it, because with the zombies chasing you and the ambiance in the background, it's a little hard to hear exactly where she says it is, but thankfully, as I said, the subtitles help with that. One last thing I will say while I'm showing you the final locations is, you can only pick up 1 at a time. Unfortunately, you can't pick up more than 1 dormant hand at a time, and you cannot pick up a dormant hand while you're holding a wonder weapon. This is pretty much the map's only flaw if I'm being honest, but when you find one, or if you found all 4 and you just jotted down the locations, you can knife the pile of rubble or the vase and grab the dormant hand. Now there's 4 wonder weapons in this map and we'll have to upgrade them all, but for this video we're going to go from easiest to hardest. Starting off with Gaia. Now I know I just said you need to upgrade all 4, but I lied. Technically you don't have to upgrade Gaia to beat this quest, but if you want to, I'll show you anyways. Come to the Spartan Monument area and you'll see a shrine for the Hand of Gaia. When you have a dormant hand, interact with it and it'll start a mini lockdown with a barrier around the circle that you're standing on, and you have to survive in this circle. Throw Wraith Fires on the ground, or use your specialist, or your shield with Victorious Tortoise, and when the circle around you disappears, you can pick up the Hand of Gaia. If you don't want to upgrade it, just put it right back down and go grab another dormant hand and skip to the next chapter. But if you want to upgrade it, you're going to have to find 3 plants around the map with red crystals on them. Here's all 3 locations that I'm showing you right now. You need to shoot the red crystals off of the plant with your wonder weapon, and if done correctly, the plant will go into the ground, revealing a seedling. Grab this and escort it back to the shrine. A quick heads up for this, when you grab it, you will not be able to sprint, and switching weapons will fail this step. So just get down to 1 to 2 zombies and then do it. When you've brought back all 3 seedlings to the shrine, interact with the circle and prove yourself to the goddess of Gaia. Here you'll need to fend off the zombies with the upgraded hand of Gaia. During these lockdowns for all 4 wonder weapons, you have infinite ammo for all of them, so don't worry about conserving ammo or nothing like that. Just kill all the zombies with your hand, spam single shots at them, spam charge shots at them, just kill them all, and when you do, that same circle will reappear taking you back to the map, and with that you'll have the upgraded hand of Gaia. Before you do the next hand, make sure you put back the hand before you grab another dormant one. For Hemera, you'll need to come to the shrine in the Monument of Craterus area and interact with the shrine. Same thing as before, defend yourself against the zombies. When the circle around you disappears, pick up the hand of Hemera. To upgrade it, there was 3 mirrors around the map that you have to get the sunbeams off of. When you find a mirror, you need to shoot it until it's reflecting back in the map. Now shoot the mirror with the hand of Hemera, and if done correctly, the beam will bounce off of a crystal and go into a bowl somewhere close nearby. Now melee the bowl, and the beam will now be on your hand. At this point, you need to run as fast as possible back to the shrine and melee the shrine to transfer the beam to the shrine. You need to do this in around 15 seconds, or else the beam will disappear off of your hand and you'll have to redo it. Here's the locations for the other 2. Like I said before, adjust the mirror, shoot it with your wonder weapon, melee the bowl, and bring it back to the shrine. And when you have all 3 back at the shrine, you can prove yourself to Hemera. Same thing as Gaia, you have infinite ammo, so spam your wonder weapon. And here's a quick tip for this one in specific. If you stand where I'm showing you, zombies will only come out of these 2 spawn locations. So you can just spam your beam at these 2 spots, and eventually you'll be teleported back to the map and you'll have the upgraded hand of Hemera. Before you start the next hand, make sure you put back the hand of Hemera to grab another dormant one. The last 2 can only be done in the Underworld, starting off with Charon. The Charon shrine is in the Python Pass area. Do the lockdown and grab the hand and come to the River of Sorrow in front of the Odin perk. You need to kill zombies in this river and it'll start to turn red. Eventually, after enough kills, you'll get an option to interact with it. Before you do this, get down to 1 to 2 zombies because the next step disables your health regeneration. When you interact with the river, around the Underworld, you will see that there are a lot of coins around the map. They aren't hard to see since you can see them through walls. There's 2 different types of coins. There's the false opals and then there's the real ones. You need to find and collect 3 real Charon's opals to finish this step. Additionally, if you collect a rare one, it'll make this sound.
I needed that win.
So if you somehow missed the text before you grab it, if it makes that little ching that I just played for you, then that was one of the real Charon's opals. But when you have all 3 of the real ones, make your way back to Charon's shrine, place back down the coins, and interact with the circle that spawns to prove yourself to Charon. Same thing as before, infinite ammo here, kill everything that you see, and when you get teleported back to the map, you'll have the upgraded hand of Charon. Before you do the next hand, make sure you put back the hand of Charon to grab another dormant one. And finally, Ouranos' shrine is right in front of Pack-a-Punch. Do the lockdown and grab the hand, and at this point, there are 3 gigantic arrows right outside the playing area inside the Underworld. Shoot a normal zombie in front of the arrow, and if done correctly, the zombie will bounce off the arrow and a rock will fly from it. You need to shoot the rock with the hand twice to float it back to the shrine. Here's all 3 arrows locations. They spawn in the same areas every single game, so there's no RNG for this hand, thankfully. This can be a little tricky at times, but if you shoot the rock and then turn around and shoot the zombies behind you, and then shoot the rock again, that should be enough to protect you from the zombies while you're floating back the rock. When you floated back all 3, go back to the shrine and prove yourself to the god of Ouranos. On the other side of the lockdown, it'll be upgraded, and now you have all 4 hands upgraded. The first one we will need for this Easter egg will be Charon, so feel free to grab that now. Now we need to get the Eternal Flame. When the table is blue, knife the table with your shield out to get the flame on your shield. Now go to these locations that I'm showing you right now and melee the oil spots to finish this step. A quick tip to remember, when the flame is on your shield, it'll deplete your shield health. So make sure you have a full shield or buy one in the middle of the step to make sure that you don't lose the flame. If you lose the flame for whatever reason, just get it back on your shield by doing it the same way as I already said. When you have all 3 done, we can fly through the next couple of steps. Now it's time for the look the dead in the eye step. So at this point, you're going to need the upgraded hand of Charon and make your way to the Spartan Monument area next to Zeus, and there will be a bunch of statues. You need to shoot a charged Charon shot at the ground and stand in it. Doing this will put you into some weird zombie blood type effect, and at this point, if you look at these statues, one of their eyes will be blue. You need to shoot a single shot at the statue with blue eyes and he will break and fade away. Now you need to find another statue right here with blue eyes. All the statues are right here, so don't worry about like running away for different locations. They are right here, but they are both in front and behind you. So if you don't see one with blue eyes in the row of statues that you're looking at, look behind you and you should see one. When the charge shot goes away, just shoot down another one, and when you have shot 4 statues with blue eyes, you'll get some screen shaking and the Easter egg step list on the HUD will go to aligning the citizens. For this step, again, it's really easy. There are 3 cracks in walls around the map that you have to shoot to destroy the wall, revealing a cog. You need to destroy the wall and throw a shield spear at the moving cog when it's right next to the steel cog. If you do it right, the spear should stop the moving cog from moving. This might take a couple of tries to get used to, but honestly, it's not that bad. I will say though, the one by the auger wall by is pretty hard since it's by far the farthest one away, and you'll have to wait about 15 to 20 seconds in between attempts. This is one of the steps where I recommend getting a spar toy and killing him with a body shot to get a couple seconds to just focus on the step. When you have all 3 cogs lined up though, come to the Stoa of Athenians area, and you'll see 3 statues that are now moving near the Golden Bridle location. If you look in the inside corner of this building, you'll see a giant cog here. If you throw a spear at it when the statues are all facing towards the white crystal in the center, that'll complete the step. If you're having trouble with this step, I'll go about this frame by frame. When the statue closest to you is pointing here, now is when you want to throw the spear at the cog, and it should work every single time. Again, this will take a couple of attempts to get. If you run out of spears on your shield for whatever reason, get the Eternal Flame on your shield until the shield breaks and buy a new one. I say do it like that because if you have Victorious Tortoise, the zombie will explode and die if he's near the shield when it breaks. But regardless, as I said, if you do it correctly, the statue should stop and you'll get some screen shaking, and the Easter egg step list will now be on Scepter and Sundial. Now this step is by far the hardest step on solo. Honestly, one of the hardest solo steps ever in Easter egg history. Most of it isn't too bad, but there's one section in particular that is so unbalanced for solo. And if you've done this Easter egg on solo, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. It is, of course, the Fen Ra challenge. Now, there's a glitch I'm going to show you to be able to beat this step, and it works around 90% of the time, but I'll elaborate on that more when we get to that point of this step. But for now, grab the hand of Gaia and make your way to the offering of the Aladids area, or where the Danu perk is, and you'll see this fungus looking thing outside the map. Shoot it with your hand of Gaia, and now 2 more will spawn in this area. If you aim your crosshairs where I'm showing you now and shoot, it should work, and it'll split into 2 different shots hitting both at the same time. Now if it only shoots 1 shot, shoot an immediate follow-up shot and that'll work. If it doesn't work and you end up only shooting 1 of them, then you're going to have to start the step over again. If you shoot both at the same time though, now you're going to have to destroy 3 in 1 shot. Again, if you aim your crosshairs where I'm showing you now and shoot, it'll work almost every single time. Again, if it only shoots 1 shot, shoot an immediate follow-up shot and that'll work. If done correctly, a Giganese will spawn on the roof of this building. Do not kill him yet. Take him to the intersection of the treasuries area, and next to the Golden Bridle location here, you'll see an item that is trapped inside the crystal. You need to get the Giganese to do his concussion blast attack thing to get him to break it off of the crystal. When the Giganese is here, make sure he's a decent amount away from the crystal, and shoot the Giganese's weak spot or his helmet with the beam attack, and that should make him do the blast attack. When you see him doing this animation, stand right in front of the item and it should break every single time. If that doesn't work, just try it again. Make sure that you're standing right in front of the item whenever he does the blast attack. If you don't have the scepter, then just use your normal weapon and that should make him do the blast attack. When the item drops from the crystal though, grab it and now you can kill the Giganese. When you kill him, he'll drop a spear looking part when he dies, so be sure to pick that up. Now there's 2 more parts for this step and you can do them in whatever order you want, but I like to do the electric step first. Come to the sundial by the Danu perk and insert the rod. Now you need to kill electric catalysts when they're standing on the sundial. They spawn pretty often during this step, so it's not too bad. When you kill one, you'll see a symbol slot open on the sundial. you need to get the blue symbol to be open on the electric line. Now this kinda sounds complicated, but thankfully there is an easy way to do this. Figure out which way the symbols are rotating, whether it's clockwise or counterclockwise. Now count in that direction how many slots there are from the open slot to the electric line. When you have that number, wait for the blue symbol to show itself in the open slot, and when it does, count with every time that the symbols rotate. Interact with the sundial when the slot is turning to the number that you counted earlier, and when you do, that should open up the blue slot on the electric line. Now, I feel like that was kinda hard to follow, so I'm going to explain it by showing you how I did it in my game. So in my game, there were 4 slots from the open slot to the electric line. So when I saw the blue symbol in the open slot, I counted with the rotations, and when it rotated 3 times going to a 4th time, I interacted with the sundial to do the step. If you get a white flash, then you did it wrong and you'll have to try again, but obviously, if the blue slot opened on the electric line, then you have done it right. You need to successfully do this 3 times. Now, the cycle does get faster every time you complete one, to the point where the 3rd one, you need to pay 100% attention to. So if you want to, feel free to place down a Pegasus Strike for the 3rd symbol. When all 3 are put in, the rod will go down in the sundial, and this part of the step is complete. Now go to the raw perk stack. This is, when done legitimately, one of the most unfair steps you could ever do in Easter eggs, at least on solo. Remember that part you picked up from the crystal? You gotta place that in Ra's right hand. At this point, he'll raise his left hand, and now you need to give him the hand of Hemera. When you do this, you'll need to survive for 1 minute in this area while skeletons are trying to block the beam to fail the step. On top of this, a Blightfather will spawn, and having to deal with all of that on solo for a whole minute is just completely unfair. So let's cheese it. Of course, you could always do it legitimately, but this step is so hard on solo that even I recommend just doing the following. Give Ra the Hemera hand and let it fail. As soon as you give him the hand, do not kill anything, any type of zombies, but especially not the Spartoi. You need to keep all of them alive, even when they're trying to block the sunbeam. Let them do it and keep them alive. After the step fails, without killing anything still, walk all the zombies all the way up to the Hemera shrine, pick it back up, and still without killing anything, give Hemera back to Ra. As soon as you give him back to Ra, hurry up and get to the shield area in the marketplace, and if done correctly, all the Spartoi and all the enemies should still be chasing you. So now all you have to do is keep training the enemies away from Ra for 1 minute. I would suggest going to the amphitheater, as that's the farthest place in the overworld you can take the zombies, and plus it's a pretty open area, so there's a pretty low chance of downing. And after 1 minute, the hand will go back to the shrine, and if you go back to Ra, you'll see that he opened a hole in the wall where the sunbeam was shining. And there is the scepter. Pick it up and give it back to Ra, and with that, you are finally done with the Scepter and Sundial step. Now we will move on to a fantastic step after that not so fun one. Now it's time for Hit Your Marks. Grab your favorite hand and make your way to the amphitheater. I say you can use any hand, but I'd recommend using Hemera or Ouranos, as they're the easiest ones to complete this step with. When you're here, pull out your hand and step on the colored circle and you'll get a white flash. Now you have to go to the circle with the same color as your hand, and then zombies will either spawn on the ground or in the stands. If they spawn in the stands, shoot them with a single shot, and if they spawn on the ground, kill them with a charge shot. When done correctly, another circle will spawn and you'll have to do the same thing for a 2nd and 3rd time. And after that, you'll get a gray screen and you'll have to go back to where you started and you'll get some applause. If you're on co-op and you get a gray screen when you're in the amphitheater, that just means that you don't have a circle for this part. So just go back by the Bowie knife and wait for your circle to reappear. After the applause, you have to do the same part again, but this time you need to do it 4 times to complete phase 2 while listening to this amazing song in the background. After you do it 4 times, you'll get a gray screen again and you have to go back to where you started and you'll get more applause. Go back to the stand and finally do this 5 more times to complete phase 3, and if done correctly, you'll get a white flat and you'll get a max ammo as well as a lot of points. This step's not hard, it's a lot of fun to do, and it's a nice step to just relax on after doing Scepter and Sundial. Now on the final step before the boss fight. To start it, come to the Underworld near the Spitfire Wallbot. Here you'll see a door with a bunch of symbols on it, and you want to shoot the symbols in this order that I'm showing you now. When you do, if you're Bruno or Shaw, interact with the door to watch a secret cutscene. This is a really cool cutscene, and it sucks we'll never know what happened after this map since it can chaos, but a man can dream, one day it'll be brought back. If Bruno and Shaw aren't in your game though, when you shoot all 6 symbols you'll automatically pass the cutscene, and now you need to come next to the door and you'll see a blue circle on the ground. You need to place your Pegasus Strike on this circle and he'll raise the ballista out of the ground. Now you need the final hand we haven't used yet, which is Ouranos, so go grab it and come back to the ballista and shoot a charge shot at the ballista. If done correctly, you'll see the ballista start to move into position, and when it cocks back the arrow, you're done adjusting it. Now finally, go grab a new shield, get the Eternal Flame on it, and while keeping your shield out, run past the Danu perk and the Maddox wall-by to this teleporter that I'm showing you now. This will teleport you right next to the acid trap in the Underworld. Now all you gotta do is turn on the acid trap and run through it to turn the Eternal Flame green. Once you do that, you can finally go back to the ballista and melee the arrow, and if done correctly, the ballista will fire and shoot the statue of a woman above Pack-a-Punch. At this point, we are ready for the boss fight, so get your desired hand, or if you really don't care which one you get either the Hand of Charon or the Hand of Ouranos, as they are the best for this boss fight. Get a fully packed Spitfire or Daemon if you want, get all of your perks, get a new shield, and get the Homunculus. It's important that you get the Homunculus, as the game will take away your Pegasus Strike for the boss fight. But when you have all that, come behind Pack-a-Punch and interact with this egg-looking thing. To be honest, I don't really know what it is, and you will get a cutscene and you will be in the boss fight. When the boss fight begins, Pegasus will fly under the clouds. At this point, a Giganese will spawn on your island. You have to kill the Giganese for the Pegasus to reappear. On co-op, you do have to visit all 3 islands and kill a Giganese on each of them for Pegasus to reappear, but on solo, there's only one that spawns before Pegasus reappears. For future reference for this boss fight, I will refer to the islands as the following. This is Spawn Island, this is the second island, and this is the third island. When Pegasus reappears, shoot him with your Spitfire or single shots with your hand. This will take a couple of tries to do, but after you deal enough damage to him, Pegasus will collapse and turn this weird orange color. At this point, you need to go to him and spam your specialist at him. If you're doing the Scepter glitch, you should only need to do this once before the third island disappears, but if you're not using the Scepter, or even if you're not fast enough with the glitch, it'll take at least a second try. After around 10 seconds, Pegasus will start to get back up, dealing damage to everyone that's on the same island as him. So when he does this, get off the island as soon as possible. So after Pegasus gets back up, a max ammo and a carpenter will spawn on the other 2 islands, so be sure to pick them up, unless one is on the third island and it's currently being blown up. It's worth noting at this point that even though it's not common in this portion of the fight, Perseus, at the top of the mountain in the center of the boss fight arena, will throw fire in the playing area. This is actually a good thing, because if you stand in the fire, your specialist will recharge insanely fast. Keep focusing fire on Pegasus, and when he collapses again, go spam your specialist at him, and keep doing this until the third island gets blown up. At this point, if you're on the third island, get off of it now, because in around 10 seconds, it will instantly kill you. Even with like talking about regeneration, or dying wish, or revives, it'll just insta-down you and you will die. When there's only 2 islands left, you need to do this to Pegasus again. Shoot him until he collapses, then go and spam your specialist at him, and after enough damage, Perseus will lower his shield and will start saying some dialogue about Pegasus being a quote worthless horse. When you hear this is your cue to get off the second island and go back to the island you spawned in on, as that island will shortly be engulfed in flames. Now we're on part 2 of this fight, which is Perseus himself. He has 2 attacks, one where he shoots fire spots at you, which again you can use this to recharge your specialist insanely fast, and a second attack where he slowly draws his sword and then aims it at the island. This means that he's about to teleport to the island, so at this point, spam him with your glove or with your Spitfire, and if you don't deal enough damage in the short time he's here, he'll do an attack that does a lot of damage if it lands on you, and teleport back to the mountain in the center of the boss fight arena. So now you gotta wait until he comes back again and you can damage him again, and eventually he'll have the same orange texture as Pegasus did. Again, this is your cue to spam your specialist at him and deal as much damage as you possibly can. You can technically one-phase this part, but it's highly unlikely, so we'll teleport back to the mountain. Again, stand in fire to charge your specialist if you ever need to, while you're waiting for him to re-teleport back to the island. And of course you can throw Homunculus while you're waiting for him to have full focus on him. When he re-teleports back to the island, shoot him until he collapses and spam him with your specialist. And at this point, he should try to teleport back to the mountain and fail and start some dialogue. And at this point, you have beaten the boss fight. Now after Perseus disappears, grab the Oracle's Key, and you have successfully beaten the Ancient Evil Easter egg. So I hope you guys were able to beat this map with this tutorial. If you were, drop a like, subscribe if you are new, and check out my other updated Easter egg tutorials. The link is on the end screen right now. I've done Blood of the Dead, Voyage of Despair, Garrod Crovey, and Dead of the Night. My goal right now is to make an updated Easter egg tutorial for every Black Ops 4 Zombies map. So next will be Alpha Omega, and then finally Tagged or Toten. And then after that, we'll probably go back and do some of the favorites such as Origins, Der Eisendrache, and so on. So if you want to be around for those, be sure to subscribe so you never miss a video. If you don't want to watch any more Easter tutorials, may I suggest you a video where I let a wheel decide how exactly I play Call of Duty Zombies. Spoiler alert, it does not end well. Thank you guys so much for watching, and with that being said, this is Jolts signing out. Peace!